Alrighty, I'm going to do a quick and very easy type of sketching today. I don't want to have to go figure out what I'm going to do so much as just pick a card and draw what's on the card. Hopefully the card I pick is something that I'm going to be comfortable with drawing. I think that I'm going to go into box number 2 this time. This is the Color Cube by Sarah Renee Clark, and there's links down below in the description for it. I do have an affiliate link, so if you make a purchase, I do get a small commission when you buy, stuff from Sarah Renee Clark. I bought my color cubes. Nobody has given them to me, so just to let you know. I'm going to be using the Viburnum Art watercolors as my color palette. And so whatever card I pick, I'm going to pick whatever the closest colors are on the palette. So again, I have no idea what I'm picking here. I'm grabbing a chunk, and I'm going to drop part of that chunk down, and that part of that chunk down, and then right in here, I'm just going to grab. Okay. Now this is a really pretty card. I love the palette, but I don't know. Do you want to see me just do some doodles? I think maybe that's what I'm going to do. Maybe the universe led me to this particular color palette and to this particular piece of, this particular photo, because I can see easily how to doodle all of these little weeds with that back glow of the sunlight. I like it. I think this is what we're going to do. I am not going to get a different card, and I'm not going to go with a different palette. I think that I can make this palette work for me. So let's look here. On my paints, well, I've got yellow ochre, burnt sienna, the sap green, which would be that, and then just a, let's see, to add a little bit of depth to that, I'm probably going to use maybe a Prussian blue? No, it's got to be something warm. So I think I'm going to grab the vermilion to add to it, to add to the burnt sienna. Well, no, it needs to be grayed out. I think it is going to be a blue. Prussian blue. All right. So I am going to use let's see here. I'm going to clean my palette. Clean these little cups here. I'm just using a water brush and squirting it on, getting these colors all wet. You know, that green is actually pretty good. Maybe I'll leave that green. But these other colors I'm going to wipe away. So I'll just grab a paper napkin. I'm not going to take that green out of my palette, but I'm going to wipe everything else out. I'm going to mix up my colors first. That way, it'll be easier when I'm doing the actual painting. So, rinse out the water. I'm going to grab the yellow ochre. I'm going to put a little bit of that yellow ochre in a second pan here. And what I'll do is I'll take that burnt sienna, and I will mix burnt sienna with the yellow ochre, and then I will put burnt sienna by itself. That's what I'll do. So, little burnt sienna with that yellow ochre. That'll give me that middle color. This color here. That'll be my green. That's my yellow ochre is that one. The yellow ochre and burnt sienna mixed together. I want to make a little bit more of that. Yep, that works. And then I just rinsed off the tip of this brush so I'm not squeezing out all the water. And then just some burnt sienna by itself. I might end up putting a little touch of yellow ochre into it just to soften the red down just a bit, because I think that's just a little bit too much. So rinse that off, and I'm going to take just a little bit of yellow ochre. Oh yeah, that's what it needed. Just a little bit. All right, I'm going to put a little more yellow ochre in the one all by itself. And I'm going to grab that sap green, which is the green right next to my yellow ochre. And I'm going to put more in the pan here. And I think that it's going to need to be brought down just a little bit. Everything's getting yellow ochre in it, I guess. Oh yeah. Yep. That's what I needed. A little more. Ugh. That is a really good match, I think. At least wet. These colors. Now, you can't see that green very well. It is a transparent color, mostly, with a little bit of that yellow ochre in it, which will keep it from being quite so transparent. My little sketchbook here. And I'm doing some daily sketches, and this was one of my sketches that I started on today. Yesterday, I did these. See, June 6th. Today's June 7th. I already sketched this when I was in the house. There's some more stuff that's going to go on that, but I want to do this little color test in this little box right here. So we're just going to go like this. And starting off, we are going to go in and get this paper wet. And I am going to move my mug out of the way and move that water closer to me so I can rinse the tip of my brush if necessary, and also get some water on this page. So there we go. We're just going to get some water on here. I like the sunburst in that picture. This really bright sunburst area here. I'll be making that with a paper towel after I've got the colors on. So looking at this one, I'm going down the middle here is that lightest, that light color. I'm going to go like this and put that light color in. And then I'm going to put some of that up here in the sky also. We're going to take some of this darker color and get that up in here. I'm going to let these colors sort of blend together. I might be grabbing a little bit more of the plain burnt sienna at some point. Down in here. All the way down. Then grabbing some of that green. Look at that. A little bit of that burnt sienna, just the strong burnt sienna, because really it's the value of the colors. It's not the colors themselves that you have to really be so focused on. I want to put a little bit more of that yellow in here. little bit more of that lighter, that yellow down in here. This is a doodle session, so really I'm just trying to get the color on here so that I can doodle more. I'm going to grab some of that straight green and get some of that in here. This is not a heavy-duty watercolor book. This is the Veneza sketchbook by Fabriano, I believe. I don't know. I don't have the cover for it anymore, but I believe it's a Fabriano. I'm going to take my paper towel and see if I can lift out a bit of that. I'm going to just put a little more water on it. You got to be careful with this paper. It's a little bit delicate. I am now going to just sprinkle on some of that green. I'm going to add a little bit more of the sap green to my green color. And I'm going to tap some sprinkles in here. They're going to fade out. And I am getting it all over my card. These cards are nice because even though they're not plastic, they seem to have a light plastic coating on them. And then I'm just going to wipe off those. All right. Putting some of these dots in that are actually going to give me more shadow behind some of my weeds. I am going to have to let it dry, but luckily it is a really warm day and I'm out in the cottage in the studio. Oh, that's looking so pretty already. I need a finer brush and some of that burnt sienna. Just putting some stems in. Not worried. I'm going to do some pen work on here. So after I get all of my colors in, I want to use the pen. But let's just look at this for a second here. This is definitely getting that feeling of this card right here. I'm so happy with that. Now I am going to put a puddle of this white over here. There's actually an off-white on this card, so I don't feel bad about grabbing some white. And even though the paper is still wet, I'm just going to drop. I'm just tapping the paper very gently. To get some of those little flower heads. This is white watercolor, but it's more of a gouache type, I think. It's a titanium white, so yeah, it is not a transparent white. We'll put it that way. This is definitely an opaque white. Although dropping it onto wet watercolor, it is wicking some of that color up through, which is softening it and making it nicer. Like that. I might go ahead and grab a white gouache. So this is the Arteza titanium white gouache, and I'm going to put just a tiny bit of that right there. I want my little white dots to show up more. Now that I've got almost bokeh type dots from the original watercolor, now I can go in and put some white that's going to stay a little more strong. So then you've got that little halo. And I'm trying really hard not to be predictable with my gouache dots here. I'm trying to do them natural, random. Not press too hard. Not press too light. I want variation in sizes here. I want tiny ones and I want bigger ones. I want ones that are going to end up being closer to you and ones that are farther away. And I think that is good. So we've got that with that color palette. And now I have to let it dry. So I'll be back. All right, I'm going to go ahead and use my fountain pen here and do a quick little bit of detail for some stems and maybe a little bit of detail for around some flowers, but I'm not going to do a ton of ink work on this. I don't really want a ton. So I'm going to move my watercolor out of the way, and I want my stems coming all the way from the ground. Put a few little ones in here. Not trying to be really specific. I want to keep it loose. I don't want it to get really tight and fussy. So look, we're just going to go like this. I don't care if I'm going over the top of these flowers or underneath of them. I'm just keeping it loose. Maybe a few more little lines up like that. I think that's good. And then I'm just going to circle some of these. I'm not going to make them really specific. It's going to be kind of like baby's breath, I guess. Little ones, big ones, but just sort of swirly circles. Makes it organic feeling. I'm not going to do all of them. I like this. I do want to get this all uploaded for you guys as quickly as I can, but you know, this is also a job that I'm doing because it is fun. Please ignore the little plus mark that's like right there in the middle of the screen. It'll go away in just a second. I had to update my focus on my screen here, but I wanted to just get this done. So like I said, I am not too worried here. I'm going to put some of these little grassy bits in. This is a job that I do because I love it, and I'm trying to not take myself too seriously. And I want to keep it fresh and fun for you guys too. I actually think that is all I need to do. So here it is. This was the inspiration. this is what I ended up with. I love it. I think that it's a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, click that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends, and remember to go out, do something creative, take care of yourself, and be kind. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.